And good evening, and welcome once again to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And guess what time it is? It's time for New Comics, bitches! So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with it. So we're going to start this week with, well, what I consider to be one of the week's bigger releases, because this is a pretty standard week. There wasn't a whole lot of, big releases. So, but this was kind of the standout, I guess, of the major releases of this week. And that was Secret Avengers 21.1. So we have the new creative team. It's Rick Remender is now going to be taking over the writing duties, and I cannot remember the name of the artist, and I feel bad. But that's okay, because I'm sure I'll remember the next time. But anyway, so basically we have, the whole issue is Cap and Hawkeye. And they're trying to prevent an assassination taking place on foreign soil in this land that I can't remember the name of it. Some, made-up place where it's like an international den of just gambling and wealth, and it's basically, like Dubai or Monaco, but, with a lot more crime, apparently. And it's a trap! Or is it? Mm-hmm. Now, the primary focus of this particular issue, really, more than anything, not so much the plot, although there are some pretty good plot points here, is the chemistry between Cap and Hawkeye. They've always had this, not adversarial is not the best word, but I think Hawkeye actually has a line like this somewhere in the book where it's kind of like big brother, little brother type of thing. And Cap is, he's throwing out a lot of the things that he used to say a lot to Hawkeye when the Avengers first came together back in the 60s, when it was Cap and Hawkeye and Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. It was just the four of them after the other Avengers split. And it was really about Hawkeye being, kind of being a hothead, him, always kind of wanting his own, his own approval before, always wanting, someone else's approval before his own. And Hawkeye throws out the same kind of stuff towards Cap. He's always, the big Boy Scout, and he's always trying to, not belittle, but just not, he always kind of treats him as if he's not an equal. And whereas Hawkeye has proven many times that he deserves to be Cap's equal, at least in my mind. So I think that's where kind of that comes from. And that stuff, aside from it be, some moments being a little bit too kind of on the nose for that relationship, it's like some little bits of dialogue are pretty rote as far as the chemistry between them, but some of the other stuff, most of the other stuff is really flawless. How Remender does that, how he really encapsulates that relationship that they have. And Remender, he seems like he has a really good handle on what this book needs to be, and and it looks like that with the new team that he's assembling, there's some really exciting prospects for the future there. This is, basically, sadly, Cap is no longer going to be on it, and it's going to, we're no longer going to have Moon Knight, and I don't know if that's more of a personal decision on the point of Remender, or if that has actually something to do with this book also being canceled. But we're going to have, Giant Man, Ant-Man, we're still going to have Black Widow, thank God. So I don't know what's going to happen with Sharon Carter. She looks like she's out of it. Still going to have Beast. But most importantly to me, at least personally, we're going to have Captain Britain. And I love Captain Britain, so, as you've heard me say many times in the past. So I'm really glad for that. The art by the artist who I don't really remember, is good. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's good. It's definitely, you know, better than some of the other stuff that's out there. But all in all, I'd say this is about a 4 out of 5. It seems like it's a good start. Picking up after where Warren Ellis left off, and obviously Nick Spencer and Ed Brubaker before him, it's going to be a challenge to kind of live up to those expectations. But I think with the team that he's assembling, it's going to, and also with what we see in this issue, as far as with Max Fury and the Shadow Council, and, you know, potentially newly reformed Masters of Evil. This has a lot of, you know, this has a lot of punch to it as far as what the future holds for this team. So that, to me, is very exciting. So again, 4 out of 5 for Secret Avengers 21.1. Fantastic Four number 602. Holy shit. I mean, it was just like, I was reading this and it's like, okay, there's the Kree and their Armada, there's the Annihilation Wave, there's Galactus, and then there's Celestials, and it's just crazed, and it's awesome. I love it. I mean, you know, one of the biggest challenges that a book like this has, that any book has really, is to create situations that create real tension in a huge battle scene, but also have it be coherent and have it have these nice character beats, these nice character moments. And Hickman and Barry Kitson, who does art on this issue, who I love also, not as much as I love Steve Epting, but I do really, really enjoy Barry Kitson's stuff. They do an amazing job of really well-balanced storytelling in this issue. And it's just weird to me, because I wasn't a huge fan of the Fantastic Four ever, really. I mean, I never gave a crap. And, you know, they started the FF, and they killed Johnny Storm, and I figured, okay, well, I'll pick up these issues. You know, you know, Steve Epting's doing the art, so at least I'm bound to like that. And I hadn't really read any of Hickman's stuff before that, but now he's all over the place. You can't escape him. You know, he's becoming like the next Bendis or something like that. I mean, he's just got books coming out, it seems like, you know, every other day. And he's got a couple this week, so... but like I said, I mean, I've never been a Fantastic Four fan before in my life. And even in the days when, like, you know, when John Byrne was doing it, you know, I liked some of the stuff, but I was never a collector, ever. And now, you know, and even when Mark Miller and Brian Hitch were doing it, I got the first issue and I'm like, I don't care. I just don't. And now it's like they've come out of this... with, you know, the creation of the FF and with Johnny Storm's quote-unquote death, you know, it seems to have really gotten off to a really strong point. And with number 600 and, of course, 601 having, honestly, my favorite single moment of a comic of 2011. It didn't make the cut for, like, one of my favorite books of 2011, but it had that moment in which Johnny lights up he lights up the sky over New York with the big flaming 4, and everybody kind of reacts to that. And just that moment, it was huge joy for me. And so this is a book that if you don't think that you'll like the Fantastic Four, with Hickman and the people that he's been working with on FF and Fantastic Four, not so much FF necessarily, but definitely Fantastic Four, it's time to start checking this book out. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. And speaking of Jonathan Hickman, we're going to just keep going right along with some other stuff. Ultimate Comics Ultimates number 6. So we've got Cap. He's still not ready to wield the shield yet again. We got Tony Stark, who basically he reaps what he's sown when he joins up with the kind of Hellfire Club type of thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called in the book. I keep meaning to write this shit down when I write it down, on these pages here. But, you know, he's plenty pissed off with this group, and with good reason, but at the same time, you do see Tony is he's kind of a weak man at some points in time. You know, you've got, you know, we got the Falcon, you know, the Ultimate Universe version of the Falcon, who, you know, he's kind of granted audience with Reed Richards and basically said, you know, you're allowed to come and go as you like and absolutely report what you're finding here, because we want those people on the ground to know what's going on here with the children of tomorrow. So, and we got Jamie Braddock. We're finally finding out what happened to Brian, the original Captain Britain, and, you know, he's having a confrontation with his own father, who was introduced in Miller and Hitch's work, and that was an interesting moment. However, you know, Hickman's endgame, as far as this book is concerned, might very well be to really trying to, like, stretch the group so thin that when, you know, just before it breaks, it comes back together again. Or, as we see in this issue, it could also be that he's going to be getting some new recruits. There's going to be new Ultimates. There's going to be a new Ultimates team with new members, and that in of itself could potentially be exciting. However, these last couple issues, they've been really lacking in anything action-y. You know, it's like it just seems to be dragging. You know, it's just slogging around. Although this this issue is better than it has been the last issue or two. Because this book just hasn't really hit its stride yet. Not like either Amazing, like Ultimate Spider-Man or Ultimate X-Men have. They're starting, you know, I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man has kind of always been there. It's always been in stride. But, you know, even from the beginning, that was a really good book. But Ultimate X-Men kind of started off slow. You know, Nick Spencer, I was really hoping for a lot more. But then finally really picked up, and it's like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. But with the Ultimates, it's like, it started off like, okay, we're really high energy, crazy shit is going on all over the place, and then it's, you know, it just the momentum just died out from that, and we're at this point now where it's just kind of like we're just like treading through the swamp of all of Hickman's, you know, admittedly very high concept ideas. He's really focusing on character. And that would be fine if the characters were... There's a lot of jargon. There's a lot of babble. And I don't think it has as much meaning as Hickman likes to think that it has meaning. So that's where this book does lose me. But like I said, this book is better than the last couple of issues. And the last couple of issues have been... They've been okay. It hasn't been bad. But, you know, so I would say this is about a 3.5 out of 5, kind of more towards 3. But like I said, it's better. And artistically, the book, because we've got Asad Ribic doing some of the art, and we've also got Brandon Peterson doing other bits of art. So that it makes the book look a little uneven, but structurally. And from a design point of view, the book it's beautiful to look at. But it's just when you have two artists working on the same book, and this is something that, I mean, it's like, I know people are trying to meet deadlines and everything like that. Asad Ribic he's an amazing artist. But at the same time, when you have two artists working on the same book, it does tend to you kind of get a little... sorry, just had like a burp. It does get a little disorienting. So I think that's something that people should really try to avoid, even if you're trying to meet a deadline. Just, you know, I don't know, but at the same time, you don't want to. I'm of two minds on this subject, because you don't want to look rushed, but at the same time, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So again, 3.5 out of 5 for Ultimates number 6. So we'll be right back, and we'll talk some more comics. Okay. Okay, be right back.